What a crazy last 24 hours. Initially, I was going to put up a video about the newest chapter of Super that came out yesterday, and it was going to be very negative. I was going to talk about how they pretty much, well, let me just give a preface. 64 was the first chapter since the Moore arc started that I didn't read. I did, however, read the plot summary where someone goes and reads it and then translates all of what's going on. And I was very bored out of my mind while I was reading it. Again, the plot summary. So initially, I was going to put up a video where I talked about how, in order to pad the arc out, they've been remaking older chapters. Because I was going to say that 64 was a remake of 59, which was the chapter where Ultra Instinct, whatever that, it's the lower form of Ultra Instinct, the one that doesn't have the gray hair, but that form used by Goku fought Moro. And I was going to say that the only difference between that chapter and this one is that they're now in, I guess, higher level forms. And that's it. They're still fighting in the same place. They're still, one character has the upper hand, one doesn't. It felt like a complete retread. Like the story isn't progressing at all. So I didn't bother with it. If I do review the full arc, I'll read it then, but or maybe I won't. But it was just, by all accounts, very boring. And then one of the guys who shows me some of my streams, Bader, he read it and tried to encourage me to read it, and I said, no, I'm good. I've wasted enough hours reading stuff that doesn't interest me. So that was initially the video I was going to put up, and then the thing with Ginsburg happened, and people have been losing their minds over that. A lot of people have been grabbing clips off of C-SPAN and other websites and playing them as proof that the Republicans are a bunch of hypocrites because they said, in Obama's last year, he shouldn't nominate Garland after Scalia died because the president who gets elected during the election for that year should instead be the one who nominates it. Basically, they've just proven themselves to be hypocrites. Which is not surprising because I've said before, usually your political alignment, like what you think is right, has a lot to do with what side of the spectrum you're on. So if you're someone that doesn't like Trump, you probably support him getting impeached and any of the other actions that are taken against him. And if you're someone that supports him, you probably thought him getting impeached was stupid, the Russia investigation was dumb, all of that. So when this happened and they were like, oh my God, I can't believe the Republicans are so quickly moving to replace this lady hours after she was like, well, that's kind of what could be expected of either side. It's just that, unfortunately, the Democrats have been very inept when it comes to getting back the Senate, that we've now had two instances where the Republicans controlled the White House, and in recent histories from the last 5 years. Two presidential elections in a row where the Republicans controlled the Senate and basically are the architects of whether someone gets on the Supreme Court or not, which is probably going to be what happens if, let's say that whoever Trump picks gets smashed or doesn't make it through. The Republicans are probably still going to have that person, are probably still going to have whoever Biden picks as the individual to get throttled, because the Democrats aren't going to win back the Senate. They're too stupid. That's why they have to keep hoping for Republicans to cross over. Now, Bader, I talked about how I refused to read chapter 64 because it just seemed like a retread of 59. And I was talking about the Supreme Court fiasco that's about to begin, or I guess it already has begun, judging by some of the stuff that was written last night. Of course, all my little favorite clowns on Twitter took this as an opportunity to crap on Collins. She's not going to stand up and tell Trump that, no, it's 64. 63 was the one from last month. That's the one where Miras made his beautiful, heroic, not Android 16 ripoff sacrifice. I really should do a video called like Why Modern Dragon Ball Isn't for Me, and just go in depth about all the little different story decisions they make that bore me and, just completely disinterest me. It was so bad I couldn't even remember the latest chapter. It was so bad. It was the first one in like 2 years I didn't read the day. Like every month, it's like this. Oh man, I can't wait until the new chapter of Super comes out. And then I stopped doing that last month because the chapter from last month I thought was kind of boring. Like it wasn't incompetent. It was just lame. Um, yeah, I love when people come in here to talk about the title. Well, if you'd actually watch, you would know what I am upset about. I will acknowledge 64 and 65 as the true chapter 64. Chapters from what? Oh, and by the way, your friend, a certain person whose name ends with some numbers, with a picture of a certain villain as his avatar. He was streaming about the chapter earlier, or he might still be streaming about it, I don't know. And my favorite part is that he started putting the panels on screen. So let's say you're like me and you didn't read it, maybe you were busy, whatever. You come to his stream, and then as he's progressing, he's like showing you all the like and then it's like you make a video like that, right, where you show all the panels, and then you get surprised when the company gets mad at you for, I mean, this is a comic, so what is the purpose of signing up for that website or even going to that website to read it if I can just come on your stream and you'll read it to me like I'm some kindergartner in a class? No, you know who I'm talking about. I'll give you a hint. He's a homeowner now. It'll make me use his iconic catchphrase that nobody remembers for some damn reason. You know what I'm talking about. The one that he told a certain person in the server when they were criticizing him and said they had unsubscribed. You probably, yeah. No, not that one. The other one, having to do with sending someone something through the postal system, the postal service. I don't know how that, like, nobody remembers that other than me. That's crazy. Because when I wasn't, remember, those were written messages. So I always just imagine his voice reading that and doing it in kind of a impassioned way. Oh, the other goof. No, the other one is stupid too. He's messing with some guy that streams about that does videos on tweets. I like how you love got so angry he left after he tried to antagonize my title. He decided I'm not worthy of being watched by him, by his highness. Let me go find this lady's name. They're floating around some woman as the next as the person Trump might nominate on Monday. But I was really thinking about it because I just realized the Democrats haven't had the Senate since. So I mentioned before I got into politics in 2013. Literally, they haven't had the Senate since the year after I got into it. So they lost it in the 2014 midterm, and they're just so incompetent that they can't get it back because usually people in general get sick of one party having control after a couple of years. So you have to be really ineffectual to just teeter on not catching it back. And if you're like me and you've gone on some of these different videos, you've seen those stupid ads of Schumer and the woman that lost in Georgia, Abrams, all those different people going, help the Democrats win back the Senate by giving us some money. It's like, yeah, I'll be sure to do that. And remember, these are people who get millions of dollars from different donors and still find ways to lose elections. Like, I'll never forget when McConnell ran for re-election the last time, which was 2014. And he was, at the time, one of the least popular senators. He still is. And the woman who ran against him got just annihilated, just like the one who's run against him this time probably will too, because they just don't challenge these people in ways that are really effective. Oh, here it is, Coney Barrett. So she was on Trump's Supreme Court list that he put out, and now they've been using that as these elections are weird. No, well, Bader, it's people who are paid to lose. They've even done the whole videos explaining this, where the Democrats like not having certain stuff, whether it's the Senate or the House, because more people fundraise when they think you're in some kind of dire straight. So if they had all the different chambers and the presidency and whatnot, people wouldn't give them as much money. So it's very profitable for them to be losers. I just imagine you, Love, is so confused, like, huh? What? Huh? You ever seen, hey, Bader, you ever seen those cartoons where they have the little Tweety birds flying over someone's head? Like when they get knocked down by something, they start seeing stars. One time where you become a winner by losing. I mean, hey, you remember what happened with Trump, where he lost the national vote by 3 million and still won anyway. That's why I made the joke. This is the only country in the world where you can get the lesser amount of votes and still win. And it's real funny too, because to this day I have Hillary supporters who say it was my fault that she lost, even though I live in a state that she won, and she got 3 million more votes than Trump. So how many more millions of people did she need to come and support? Yeah, they're still spreading that crap around. It's your fault. If you had voted for her in the state that she won, she would have won. Dude, Bader, you might, again, you're not from the US, but so you probably won't realize this. The Democrats have won my state in every single presidential election for over 30 years. And they're telling me that my vote would have made the difference. It's like, I don't live in any of the states that actually matter, like Florida or Pennsylvania. Go get mad at them. And even in places like that, she still, lost by what were considered razor thin margins. So if you get mad at people from those states, they're the same ones who actually tried to do the most to put her over the top. So really, they shouldn't be blaming anybody besides her, but whatever. You chose I didn't choose either one of them. Just like if I got my ballot right now, I probably would ball it up and throw it in the trash. It's gonna be the same thing as last time, where you don't like either person that's on the major party ticket, and all that little scare stuff about, if this person wins, this is gonna happen. It doesn't work on you. So, you just let them get freaked out and talk to themselves. Matter of fact, where's that tweet? I'll show it to Bader. That tweet that person had that was really funny. I shouldn't say that person because I'm a supporter of his. So let me be more specific. Yeah, this last day has been just filled with drama. Like, we're going to be hearing about this Supreme Court nomination for the next probably 2, 3, 4 months. Because it usually takes about a month for the hearings to go through. And then, even with that, you're still going to have people who are going to be posting on Twitter, and then there's going to be stuff revealed during the hearings. So it's going to go on for a while. There it is. That tweet has 17,000 likes. All right, Bader, that one's for you. One of my favorite tweets ever written. that just even months later completely describes and defines how I feel about this election. My classmates were celebrating when he won because they thought he would destroy America. I mean, they're not wrong, but America was already destroyed before he got in. Tell you, the president before him took us from 2 wars to 7, but because he talked nice, nobody cares. Yeah, well, I don't see that superpower thing working out for him. I'm so glad I don't use Twitter anymore. Like other than to just thumb up other people's stuff because that website along with Discord are the two that have come the closest to driving me crazy. Like people will complain about anything on there and they will attack you for just whatever you say. I've seen some people who they've gone on to hold on a second. Like I was saying, Twitter will drive you crazy. There was literally a person on there who said something to the effect of, I hope someone gets better, like they were wishing them well wishes. And then someone else was like, you want this person to get better. They did this and they did that. Hell, matter of fact, hold on a second. Um, no, I'm not gonna post it in there. Peace in the Middle East now. Oh no, there's no peace. Not with what's going on with Yemen. Yeah. No, you know what? Let me open up Discord. Give me a second. I gotta just keep because I took this screenshot, but I wasn't gonna share it anywhere. I just kind of took it because I wanted to preserve how insane people online are. So right after the news broke, TYT, well, Jank, I guess, he was doing a stream, because he does this thing where when breaking news happens, he will go, "Oh my God, this is gonna occur, and this is gonna happen." This because I remember he did that when Scalia died too, 4 years ago. Like he did a stream, an impromptu stream. So in the comment section, somebody sent him a super chat, or they sent the channel of TYT a super chat. And this is what they wrote. I don't even want to say it on stream. That's how gross it is. So they paid $2 to say that this lady's demise was the best news they'd heard this year. Like people online don't even care. Like if they don't like your political belief or opinion or whatever the hell, they will wish death upon you. I already showed the one screenshot where the serial killer, what do you call it, groupie was like saying I should die when I was 15. So, the people aren't above doing that online over anything. No humanity whatsoever. Like everybody online is basically like a less lethal version of Michael Myers. Could you imagine you give I give a monologue of like, I went online and I looked at their comments and I saw pure evil. First, I tried to reach them, and then I tried to get away from them because I saw the darkness in their soul as they typed on their keyboards about how happy they were at other people's demises. Imagine paying someone to say that. Well, you know, so, there are people who will pay someone to read a comment insulting them. Like I remember one time I was watching this Dragon Ball channel, and this guy was told that he was a basement dweller or something by one of the different people that wrote a comment. He was like, "So you pay me $1.50 to write that to me and have me read?" They're lucky. They're very lucky that wasn't me, because I don't even care if you pay me. I still wouldn't read that. You're not gonna pay me for me to read a disgusting comment about me. The hell sounds sounds too fictional. I didn't see a human. I saw a demon. And what did this demon do? Oh, he had a different opinion than me. That clearly means this person's death is a welcome part of the world or whatever. Told you for like the last maybe 15 months, every time somebody dies that someone doesn't like that's in the political field, some clown comes online and celebrates. The only time I ever celebrated someone's death was this one serial killer years ago. That's it. But if you're like a person who's a governor or senator, like it doesn't matter. It's it's not that serious. Oh my God, this person got elected to this position and did things I didn't like. Just like Obama did a whole bunch of stuff I didn't like. I'm not going to wish for him to die because it doesn't erase any of what he did in office. That's not going to get rectified upon his demise. So people are really twisted and morbid on here. I don't like you, so you should pass. Yeah, that's the same face I make. That those old eyes. Reading some of the trash they write on here. Like, is this serious? I spent 15 years trying to reach them, and then another 5 trying to get away. I am watching this stream, and I don't see a human. When I look at him, I saw a demon. Well, that's why I did the evil stream, because like I never speak about doing anything violent, whether that's putting your hands on someone, any of this stuff that require weaponry, right? And because people on here, I guess, think they live in some kind of movie, they want to assign any rhetoric that is critical of chicks as being indicative of someone planning to act out in some violent manner. That's why I even showed the comment the one clown wrote, where he was like, "You will commit mass violence," because they don't want to accept the idea that you can critique this group of people without being some kind of up and coming degenerate. And I know it's only about chicks, because I'm telling you, I've covered political stuff on this website for 5 years. I never had anyone write that crazy crap to me with regards to that kind of content. It's only when you discuss chicks that now you're this new Jason Voorhees or Ted Bundy or something. Let me go get my hockey mask from the store. Imagine every time I do a stream, you hear that little just in the background. People need to stop getting pissed for things they can't control. Well, people need to stop blaming people for things they can't control. Like on here, you get attacked for every decision a woman makes, even though you didn't make it. You're not in her head. You can't force her to go on a date, and you will still get blamed for it. Megumi, did you read that new chapter of Super? Because I didn't read it, but I read the what do you call it, the little synopsis, and I was bored out of my mind. I said, I'm gonna skip this. I'll wait another 20 plus days or 30 days for something else. Yeah, that was pretty lame. That's why I did that Super's Goku and Vegeta problem video. They make everything just so predictable because they want to suck off the same two characters. And then one of them, they only suck off a little bit. Like they'll give Vegeta all these new forms and power-ups and whatever, but then he still can't ever save the day or be the hero or beat the main villain. Like, that's why I sent Bader that message where before the chapter came out, this guy was like, yeah, he's only in like 1 or 2 panels. Can't say I have, no. No, yeah, me neither. I just read the plot summary. Oh, by the way, there was a guy who commented on one of the relationship videos, and he said, people need to realize it'd be easier to sneeze with your eyes open than to get a date based off the way chicks act. I'm just imagining, it's like, would you rather ask out all these different broads or learn how to sneeze with your eyes open? He's just like, I'll take the latter. Like, oh, I did it. It only took two years or even longer. But then again, it's been a while since I read the manga, or since I read manga. Yeah, usually that's what my preferred medium. Like if I want to catch up with the story, I'll just read the manga. Goku is pulling a Gohan in the next chapter because he lost his mind. Yeah, I read that. They're trying to add a little bit of spice, but it's more padding. Like, why did you have to have a full chapter of him fighting this villain again? Like we didn't just see that a couple of months ago. If you were just gonna have him again not beat the villain, but I guess lead to something, like, it's stupid. I'm telling you, I can't wait to do a full arc review of this because I'm going to be so mean. I'm going to say if it ended at chapter 61 where Vegeta shows up and then had him kill off Moro, I would have given it probably at worst a B plus. But after, so B plus, not D plus, B plus or A minus, because it would have told a story about Vegeta getting this new power up. It wouldn't have come out of nowhere. Would have had build up. They wouldn't have been pulling my leg here, and it would have still given some other characters things to do along the way. But after these last couple of months of just repeating over and over, Ultra Instinct, oh, it got smashed. Ultra Instinct, oh, it got smashed. I probably would give it, at best, a C plus. And it's still just, the only reason it's at a C is because of the earlier stuff. If it's just the last few by themselves, D minus. But Bader, when I went on Twitter and I was looking up what people thought of it, you know what they wrote, right? 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, great paneling, great characters, great story. Or C plus is just above average. Well, the earlier chapters of it I thought were really good because they had Boo fight for what was basically the first time in the manga. They had Piccolo have multiple fights, Gohan, Krill, all these different characters that kind of really weren't used in earlier arcs of Super actually get something to do. And after that, they just started slugging along, like since probably March or February. It's been that way. So it's mainly teetering on the goodwill from the earlier part than anything else. Because if it was just the newer ones by themselves, be a D. That chapter would be somewhat decent if Moro died, but this is just a waste of. But it's been a waste of time since that chapter. Like if they had Vegeta show up, beat Moro, we would have only had one fight that was. And hell, you could even say the Goku fight that the first one wasn't a waste of time because it gave Vegeta enough time to get there and then pull off the victory or whatever. But instead, they have Goku lose. They have Vegeta show up. They have him lose. Then they have Goku show up again with the same stupid form they keep sucking off. Uh, and now he's apparently getting ready to do something stupid or dumb that's gonna like make it to where I don't even know what's gonna happen anymore. It's just go running in circles. Super seems to have that running theme. Well, this is the worst thing because the this arc, like the past arcs of Super probably all were about maybe a year long, a year and a few months, almost 2 years of this story. And for the last half a year, it's been like this, not utilizing the full potential of the rest of the cast. Well, that's why I said that if it had ended at 61 and I'd only given an A plus or whatever, or not A plus, A minus, I would tack off half a letter grade because the arc started with Boo getting kidnapped. They give him one cool fight. They even explain how his origins kind of are connected to Moro. And for most of it now, he's just been sleeping. So an arc that started with him is just going to have him do this the entire way through. But like I said, if you go on Twitter and you look at what people are saying about it, oh my God, it was so great. I would bang it with no condom. Yeah. They're in love with it. And that's why me and Beta were talking about how it's like living in the Twilight Zone because you see all these different problems with this story over the last couple of months and people just keep chugging along. They're like, yeah, this is so good. Give me more. Overproducing and dragging it to a ridiculous degree. Oh, absolutely. Like, I would say if I was being very nice, I would give just from what I read, the chapter a 6 out of 10 because it looks nice and even if it doesn't progress the story, it doesn't seem like it's a piece of garbage, like it has stupid writing and whatever, like it has redeeming qualities, right? You have people on Twitter talking about, this is my favorite chapter. This is the best one. Yeah. And I'm like, what do you see? But I told you that was the same way I felt about the Broly movie. I'm like, it's a film about a bunch of Saiyans on Earth that makes no sense in terms of like why the rest of the fighters aren't there because they set the movie on Earth when they could have just set on another planet and then it would have made a hell of a lot more sense as to why everybody else was. Like, that's just a big plot hole to me. But you have people who still think that some people have said that's the greatest Dragon Ball film. And I'm just like, I don't, I don't see it. That's why I said a lot of the modern stuff just isn't for me because, even if I give it credit of saying this isn't incompetently made, like the Broly film, I don't think was just this big heap of crap. Like it has redeeming qualities. A lot of people go from saying this is okay or this is, it's fine, it's adequate to go, no, I love it. It's so great. I even had someone in the chat say they love this film. I was like, what? Like, I wouldn't even say I love the Cell Saga, and that's my favorite part of Z. I would say I like it. I tell you, the fans just they like all of it because the title Dragon Ball, I bet, lose their minds. Well, you saw what happened with what do you call it, with the games where if you criticize fighters, right? You say, I wish they had a couple more characters. You want them to put in 100 more? I'm like, no, I just want a few more because this game has the smallest roster of any modern fighting game, which was true. And I even gave the example of how I bought the first Xenoverse, which had 40-something characters, and I defended it having what was called a small roster. And the initial roster for fighters wasn't even half that size. And they're like, you want everybody in this game because you want characters that play the same. And like, nobody even asked what number of characters do I want? They just assume. But they don't ask because when they assume, it makes them feel better about deflecting any possible valid critiques of that game whatsoever. I said the gameplay was nice. I said I had fun when I was playing it. I would just like a roster that is at least the size of a game that came out 5 years ago, or rather 3 years before Fighters came out initially. And sure enough, after the game came out, yes, they did, Megumi, brand new DLC characters coming. And I'm like, so wait a second, you guys can pump all this DLC in this game in 2 years, but you couldn't delay the game by 2 years to have them all in there to begin with? They literally doubled the roster size in the first 2 years of the game being out, but they couldn't have just waited to stick more in there so we could have something resembling what we had before. No, they love putting words in your mouth. That's their favorite thing to do. You criticize the ending of the Future Trunks arc, right? Where Trunks' whole timeline gets erased. It completely does away with all of the gains on the part of the protagonist for the arc because it shows they failed. And they're like, this is a good ending, and you just like sappy, happy. Like, well, hell, if an arc, ends with something that is not what the heroes want, I don't really see how that's a good conclusion to a story. Especially since that arc ended almost 4 years ago, and apparently, even though it's supposed to set up Trunks coming back, he still hasn't come back. So, it seems even dumber if they were never going to what's a good way of saying it, come back to him. But anytime you criticize Super, they lose their minds. You just want 10. I don't even know what number that is. That's like 10 million. Best game ever. Stop hating. I mean, I have seen some people who say it's the best game ever. I'm like, well, it can be the best game and still have a very crappy roster. You're just like, if you critique one thing about, you're not saying it's a piece of garbage. It's just this one thing you don't like. Especially if you give value critiques, they just hear something else or then put words in your mouth. I'm telling you, I've never seen a group of people who have put more words in my mouth than Dragon Ball fans. That's why I don't talk, unless it's like a stream or something, I don't talk to any of them because they will attack you in the most unfair of ways. For like I remember if you say you like, let's say, I don't know, Z in the original, right? Oh, you have nostalgia. That's why you don't like Super. Like, well, I like parts of Super, and it's like, well, if I don't like the newer stuff because I love the older stuff so much, how the hell do I like all these new games? Like, why did I like Xenoverse so much that by the time the second one came out, that was probably the Dragon Ball game I played the most out of any of them. Yeah, but the nostalgia thing really pisses me off because they're trying to like use your age against you because you had no control over when Super would come out or how old you were when you saw the original show. Like, it's really weird. But I told you a lot of those Star Wars fans at that too. With like, if you said you didn't like the sequel trilogy, nostalgia. I'm like, man. And then they get surprised when you stop talking to them. They can't just no. Well, I told you when they do the nostalgia crap, they're trying to. That's why I said that thing about people like to use your age against you because they know it's something you can't control. So they're trying to delegitimize your critiques of something by using a thing you can't control against you. Because you've seen when I critique stuff, I usually go in detail about what I like and don't like about it. So instead of just saying, okay, this person gave a nuanced opinion I don't agree with, but they're still explaining in detail why they don't like this thing. No, that's just nostalgia talking. Oh my God. That's why I don't even want to review anything from Super anymore because if you don't say you like it, it's because of nostalgia. To hell with this 2-hour video explaining what I liked and didn't like about it and why it didn't like come together. Hey Megumi, just to give you an idea of why the Future Trunks arc's ending is so awful, imagine if when you remember the baby arc ending where Goku destroys him with the big Kamehameha wave. Imagine if that arc ended with Baby taking over all of Earth and then Goku having to retreat to some alternate timeline where Baby never existed and there's two versions of him. You would say that was a stupid ending because it completely took away from all of the gains the heroes made and they didn't save the day. They failed. And imagine if GT ended without him eventually coming back and beating Baby. You would say that was a crappy story. No, but that's what Super did. They had Future Trunks' timeline get erased at the end of the arc, which showed how much of a failure Future Trunks was. And then they never show him again after that. Would have been a huge disappointment. Yeah. Like when I was watching the original, because when Super was airing, we would, all go on Crunchyroll or whatever that website was and watch it while it was live, from on Fuji TV. I was just sitting there so confused, like, wait, so they're actually doing this? They're gonna have the main villain get this fused form that only lasts for a couple of episodes, only there to sell some toys. Then he's gonna turn into a cloud and kill everybody except the main characters, and then we're gonna have this little stupid, overpowered Munchkin come and erase them. Like, what the hell? Oh my god. Yeah, I saw people like all day long. Everybody was like, "Oh, this was so surprising, and it subverted my expectations." It's like, no, it's crap. It's trash. There were good parts of the arc, but the ending just doesn't work. Along with some other things they did. I don't know why everybody loves being edgy for some reason. Like Megumi, that Discord snake. I know you don't like One Piece, but the whole point of that show is that it's a group of pirates who want to achieve their dreams, and they'll work for it. They'll help each other with their different goals. He wants one of the Straw Hats to die before the show is over, or the manga, whatever. And I'm like, you want a series that's about doing whatever you can to achieve your dream, to have a character who, if you're talking about one of the original, like one of the first 7 Straw Hats, they've been around for 20 years. You want people to be okay with this character that they've been watching for 2 decades fail to achieve their goal, and that's like a good story to you. Hell, in One Piece, Oda, the creator, he even said the reason that Luffy doesn't kill any of the villains is because he sees death as forcing them to never be able to achieve their dream. Like, that whole series is rooted in striving for what you want and doing all you can to get it. And he's like, no, we need somebody to die because that's, and you already did have somebody die. That's not good enough. When you want the Straws to die, yeah. Thank God he's not a writer. These must be the same people that wrote that chapter of Dragon Ball Multiverse. I mean, hell, I'd rather read that than Super at this point. At least they finally got around to using bra. Oh, Megumi. I don't know if you remember, but I told you about the guy that did the video where he said if you wanted Gohan a Saiyan in a movie about Saiyans, which was the Broly movie, then you're brain dead. Because he would have served, quote unquote, no purpose to the story. That same person can't explain how characters like Beerus and Whis, who were not involved in the main plot of the Broly movie, like, you saw that film, they didn't really do anything in that movie. How, like, why they were there if they didn't serve a role in the story. So clearly the filmmakers weren't above putting characters in there that, I guess, were not the main person or what. Like, it's weird. It's like, no, Gohan can't be in there because he won't serve a purpose to the story. But we'll let the gods that just like completely ruin all of the tension from the story be in there. Oh, that's nuts. I told you. I really do like, even if I'm sick of Dragon Ball, like modern Dragon Ball stuff, I do like being well versed in it, because the more you remember of what's occurred in the series before, you can like destroy things people say, like little claims they make. Guy certainly was lacking common sense in that department. Yeah. And it's like, you want us to not go on to be a fighter when you know that the only way for him to be a relevant character in a series about fighting different villains is for him to be a fighter. Like, what is he gonna do? Throw a book at the new villain? Like, it's really weird. We're just so crazy. We want Gohan to just have a retread of his character arc in Z. I'm like, well, hell, everybody's having a retread of the character arc in Z, Goku and Vegeta included. What new things has Super done for Vegeta's character? Exactly, nothing. I will be stronger than Goku. Yeah, we didn't see that in Z. That wasn't there. I told you, Megumi, if you go on they have this one Dragon Ball form. I don't even like to name them because there are a lot of clowns on there. But they believe that if uh the writers of Super, right, if they use any character that's not Goku, Vegeta, or someone that's been introduced since Battle of Gods, so after Beerus and Whis, like the characters since then, the writers are pandering to fan service and nostalgia. They can't just want to use that character again. They're it's all nostalgia based. So, for example, if they do an arc where Vegeta is fighting some new villain, oh my God, we're going in such a new direction, seeing Vegeta fight a villain for the 99th time. But if they do an arc where they have Piccolo be the villain, which has never been done before, oh my God, fan service. They're trying to get us nostalgia. Like, I've never seen a group of people who hate the character or like who are so, what's the way of saying it, antagonistic toward characters from the show they claim they like being used. It's really crazy. Like the Naruto guys don't do that. Hell, in some cases, they were begging for other characters to get used. The One Piece guys don't do that. Like the only people that do that are the Dragon Ball ones, where they like the whole anybody from the original manga that's not Goku or Vegeta. If you use them, that's nostalgia, and you're doing it for fan service. So it's you can't have a legitimate good reason to want to use somebody that's been around for as long as Goku or Vegeta. Super and just the people that are in that community really very toxic. Nostalgia, nostalgia, always nostalgia. That's their favorite word. That's their new catchphrase. I told you before, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I never saw people like try to attack someone, like at least me anyway, right? With that word. And now anytime you say you don't like a new installment of some show that's been around for a while, people say nostalgia. If I say I don't like Young Justice season 3, that's because of your nostalgia for the first 2 seasons that came out when you were younger. I'm like, but I didn't like season 2 either. I like the first season when they had 8 characters that they were looking to develop, and then season 2 came around and they got rid of most of them and stuck some new people that they didn't have to develop either. I really should get around to talking about that show. Nobody can critique Super or you have your nostalgia goggles on. And you know the thing that really irritates me, Megumi? I've even done videos where I'm like, I like this character from Super. Like I talked about how much I liked Kaba, Goku Black, Hit, Toppo, all these different characters, right? But I'll critique how they're used or maybe the story that they're in. They're like, this person has nostalgia. Your opinion is not legitimate. Oh, but Megumi, you know, if I criticize GT, they all agree with me because that's been around long enough. Because I told you, I have had people who said they only like Super because it's new Dragon Ball, which is a really terrible reason to like anything. Just like it because it's new. Because at some point, everything is new. But they'll let you critique GT because it's not the in thing right now. It makes no sense for Gohan to protect his family despite the villains in question threatening to destroy the planet, killing him and all the people he cares about in the process. Yeah, Bader, you understand a lot of these people, what's the way of saying it? They don't really think critically about stories. Like that's why when you go on there and they're all like celebrating, oh my God, the paneling is so excellent and the animators and all this different stuff. It's all designed to distract from the fact that they are telling a story that started off kind of original, you know, this thing of Moro and how he's connected to the Grand Supreme Kai and all these different people from Z. And it just segued into being another arc where Goku uses a new form and, you know, tries to fight. And then Vegeta does all this training and it doesn't amount to anything. And blah, 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 blah. Like I'm just tired of it. It's really boring. No, this series has some of the worst fans I have ever seen. Like the show itself, just whatever. But they go into defense mode hard anytime you say something that isn't just, "Oh my god, I love this. It's so great." Because I remember when the Future Trunks arc was airing, and they had the episode where which one was it? Where it was like the one where I don't know if you remember Bader, but Goku left the Mafuba's pot in the past, or left the sensu, something that they needed, right? And I was like, that's a really stupid, contrived reason for him to act like an idiot. Well, he had to, and I'm just thinking to myself, anytime you criticize something, even if it's just a little part of it, no, this makes sense. GT got a lot of hate. Was insane. Well, again, I don't really see where Super, like, what's a good way of saying it? A lot of problems I had with GT, I have with Super, and a lot of people like to defend Super by acting as if it's just this vast, wonderful improvement over that. And in some cases, Super does certain things worse than GT, and they'll just be like, "No, that's not true." Like, I don't remember GT starting out by taking two movies that everybody had just seen and stretching them out and making them uglier looking and dragged out. Do you remember that, Megumi, where the first two arcs of GT were films that everybody had just saw? It's like at least GT had an original story. Nah, this show just modern Dragon Ball is just a atrocious mess. Like, the games are good, at least most of them anyway. But the show, the manga, just ugh. The fans, like they turn off the critical thinking skills really quickly when they want to bash you over the head for not liking what they like. They defending Super also because it's the newest in the series, so automatically it's perfect. Yeah, and I told you that um, I know a lot of people, Bader included, who when Super came out, they watched the first like episode because that was new, Goten and Trunks getting water, and then until the Universe 6 tournament, which is the one where Vegeta beats up most of the people, then gets his butt whooped by Hit. All of us just tuned off. We just turned. We said, no, we're not about to sit here and watch movies stretched out that we've already seen before. So there were, even when Super was airing, there were people like ourselves who didn't like certain things about it or found it to be very uninteresting for doing that. I've never seen a show do that, by the way, where they take the movie and then I've seen some shows that'll take a film and maybe, I don't know, cut it up and put it in pieces or act like the episodes were a film. But I've never seen them take the movie and then retell its story as the, like, that was weird. You could tell the guys that they're lazy for doing that. They had to do that because people wouldn't have seen people who haven't seen the movies would have been confused. I'm like, they made this show because the movies did well, so the people watching the show with a very high probability probably saw the movies too. Yeah, this is a really just boring series. And again, it sucks for me as a reviewer because I try to give uh, a rationale for why I like the parts of it that I like or parts that I don't like, and then you have a group of people who say that this person's opinion isn't legitimate because of how old they were when they saw the previous show or whatever the hell. Somebody's out there acting crazy. People have these really loud cars. They just zip down the street. But yeah, I haven't been doing I didn't do a Dragon Ball video this week. That's because there were about 4 or 5 different ideas I had, and they just kind of like circled around me. So I'll try to do one this week, at least one, maybe 2. It's gone downhill for me ever since they just kept bringing in many new transformations. Well, that was something that I was really, because transformations, right? They kind of are like this. If the writer wants Goku to be stronger than everybody else, they can't just have him train. So they need to bring in this different look for him that signifies that he's now stronger than everybody else. So when, like, it seems as if Super was made just so they can give Goku and Vegeta an even bigger power gap from the rest of the cast, but then also have Vegeta a little bit lower than Goku, so you can think he might finally be able to save the day, and then never. Didn't really seem interesting or hype. Well, that's because every time a new form would show up, we get a little bit of that form, and then it gets thrown out the window for another one. So when Super Saiyan God showed up, right, that was the red hair one. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, this is so cool! It looks so great! It's amazing! Let's draw some fan art of everybody having it." And then 2 years later, we have it with the God Super Saiyan, the blue hair one. It's like, okay, well, we just got one, and you guys kind of just went to this other thing very, very quickly. And then not even 3 years later. Well, actually, you know what? No, because I was going to say Ultra Instinct, and that did come out less than 3 years after Blue. But you got to remember, between that, we got Rose, which is a new form. It's not one for the heroes, but it's still a new form. That weird thing that Trunks had. So that was 3 new forms in 3 years. After in the 3 years after Super Saiyan Blue came out, Super Saiyan God Blue or whatever, we got those other 3 forms. So they just kept piling them in over, and then with the manga, they want to stay with Ultra Instinct, but they keep making it lose to everybody that it's used against. That's why I'm really sick of it. It's like, oh my God, this perfect form where Goku doesn't even have to think, his body thinks. It's like, yeah, they're hyping it up as the ultimate transformation. And I even had somebody who thought it was. Like, they did the same thing with every single form since 2. Remember, the whole Cell saga was, we need to get the next form that's going to beat Cell. And then 2 came out and it whooped Cell's behind. And they were like, oh, this is the ultimate form. And then 3 came out, and it goes on and on. And it's like, people still buy the bait. They still think, oh yes, this new form is that's it. No, as long as they can sell toys, they're going to keep pumping these things out. Don't be surprised if we don't get Super Saiyan Green in like 3 years as well. They're going to call that Super Saiyan Sprite or something. Yeah, poor Vegeta. Nah, Megumi, Vegeta got treated like, I know you like GT, but that Baby Gohan idea I liked a lot more. Like, I like Baby as a character, but he did make Vegeta kind of not existent in that arc after he possessed him. And then in Super, he's literally Goku's sidekick. He's there to fuse with him. He's there to get beat up by the villain, the main villain, to make him look cooler. That's Goku's understudy. Well, think about it. They gave him all the same transformations, but he just coincidentally can never save the day. And that's not done on purpose. In Battle of Gods, they give him that big rage boost, and he's like hitting on Beerus, and that's the first time we see anybody be able to actually do damage to Beerus. Then he gets whooped. In Resurrection F, he's beating up Frieza, then Frieza blows up the planet, and he has to get revived. The Universe 6 tournament, they have him beat almost everybody there. And then he gets the hit. They have him get stabbed by Goku Black and looks like he's winning. Then he starts beating up Goku Black. Then Goku Black fuses. It's turned to merge Zamasu. They have him get smacked up by Jiren at the end of the tournament. Such a prawn. It's sad how dirty he gets done. You know what? They do him dirty, but the problem is it's hard for me to really feel any kind of sympathy for him, because if you look at characters like Piccolo or Gohan or Krillin or any of these other people, at least Vegeta gets to fight somebody every arc, and if there's enough enemies, actually gets to defeat someone, like in the tournament of the Universe 6 tournament. With other characters, other basic characters like Piccolo or Gohan, they just get shuffled more and more in the background. So it's really, I'm kind of in a difficult position where it's like I want to feel bad for this character, but because of how much worse you treat everybody besides him and Goku, it's hard. It's like if Megumi said, I want to get a master's degree, and I only paid for him to get a bachelor's degree. Like, I stopped paying before he can get the master's degree. And you're like, you want to feel bad for Megumi because I told him I'd pay for him to get a master's degree. But then all these other people that went to school never even got a single degree to begin with because they couldn't afford it. So he's in this like weird position where you want to feel bad for him, but then because of how much better he was treated than everybody else, you're kind of like, yeah, the rest of the cast are in an even worse position. Man, I've never seen a series that hates its character so much. And fans who are so like apoplectic toward the other characters getting used. Like Megumi, you might not believe me, but I can go on that forum and screenshot posts to you where if they use any character that was introduced in Dragon Ball or Z, right? That's not Goku or Vegeta, and if they use so if they don't use Goku or Vegeta or someone that's been introduced since Battle of Gods, nostalgia. They're only being used to satisfy fans. Even though the only reason Vegeta even gets used is to satisfy fans. Because remember, there were people who were pissed off and that in GT he was like sidelined for so long. If you remember that, where at the end of the show he gets Super Saiyan 4 and gets to participate in the final battle against Omega Shenron. So, you know, it's kind of funny that they say that they act like they can use any character that's not one of those two from the original, but it's not legitimate. There has to be some kind of monetary incentive, even though, again, all of these new forms we get are so they can sell toys and do other monetary type things. Ruben says hello. I know Ruben's very disappointed that his favorite Supreme Court justice died yesterday. But he is looking forward to this amazing woman that Trump's going to put on the court. No, you remember Megumi in GT, Vegeta didn't do anything other than get possessed, beaten up by Super 17, and then only during the last parts of the show did he get this new form and get to be part of the fusion and whatnot. I tell you, like, what's always funny to me about GT is that the last episode has Goku give like goodbyes to Krillin and Piccolo and Vegeta. Like, he didn't even hang out with any of these people in that show. like that episode, you could watch Z and then play that episode, and like nothing happens other than Goku being a kid. It just completely steps over. He didn't even say goodbye to Trunks, who was with him for that whole, what was it, first start of the show in space. Like, that's crazy. The only reason Vegeta became a good guy in the first place was to pander to fans, but Vegeta being a villain was why the fans loved him in the first place. Yeah, it's really crazy. They have, you know, they try to act like all of these choices are made because the writers are just amazing people. Like the writers just telling these great stories. I don't want to use any of the characters that aren't Goku or Vegeta because, you know, I'm telling this amazing story. It's like, no, you're doing it because you're afraid that if you don't use one or two of them for just a little bit, you won't be able to cash in as much. And then Megumi says, yeah. And I have somebody that's trying to like inspect what clothes I have on, which is always a nice thing when I do a pose for him. he didn't even meet Krillin and said goodbye to him, but not Trunks. Yeah, it's funny. Goku and Krillin only speak to each other one time in all of GT. Remember the episode where it's the tournament and it looks like Hercule is going to retire as the champion? That's the only time they ever are actually around each other before the last episode in that whole show. Yeah, Trunks, I don't even think I think he might have had one line at the end of that show. Like Trunks just peters out so much in GT. He goes from being one of the three main protagonists to just being another baby minion and then getting completely sidelined for the rest of the show. Like that's really nuts. So you could tell that there was like some kind of internal, like behind the scenes different decision making while GT was going on, because we know for a fact that space adventure, so getting the 7 Dragon Balls, that was supposed to be the whole show. And then after I guess bad reception or something, that was when they decided to take it back to Earth. And then the show was supposed to end when Baby got defeated, and then they gave it 20 more episodes, and that became the basis for the last 2 arcs of the show. Yeah, Super 17 was something they made up on the spot. Seriously, when GT was made, the only 2 things that were guaranteed were the designs which Toriyama made and the fact that they would be in space. It was only when that show started airing that they started changing stuff up. Yeah, Super 17 was a nice idea, but what's a good way of saying it? The arc he's in has got some problems. And he really came in here just to say that. Hey, Megumi, you didn't see that red circle right next to you? Trying to figure out, trying to inspect my attire. It's like, why are you wearing that? I tell you, the men on this website do some of the most, like, what's a good way of saying it, homoerotic things I have ever seen. Like, we had the one guy on the stream ask me if I was a virgin. We had the one guy ask me why I always wear blue. I mean, it is. Oh my God. Well, I saw it and I was amused by it. It's like, I'm telling you, I've never gone on someone's channel before and I'm like, let me take a peek at your clothes. I'm gonna inspect you from your toes to your nose. And you know what? The stream from last week, when Bader was like leaving a whole bunch of comments, there was a guy who came and said he asked 2 questions. First, he asked how old are you? Then he asked if I had a girlfriend, and Bader was like, said that I was 7, and that he was gonna go to jail if he kept asking all these erotic questions. But it's always a man that asks like these weird, I guess, pseudo-sexual inquiries. Let me see. What's the name of the Republican woman that is first in line to replace Ginsburg? Well, she hasn't been picked. Her name was on the list of people that they had. Let me go look. Yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering her name too. Don't worry, we'll get enough time to remember it if she gets selected. Okay, it's Coney Barrett. So she's on the top of the chopping block. I mean, if Trump gets to appoint her before the Democrats, well, he'll nominate her, and then they're gonna have all the hearings, and if she gets confirmed, then that'll be it. You have to vote for accused rapists, because if you don't vote for the one that is on the Democratic ticket, then the one on the Republican side is going to pick this Supreme Court nominee, even though most of the cases are heard by judges on lower courts who already let the Republicans pick all of anyway. A lot of diehard Dragon Ball fans lose their minds if their show ever gets critiqued in any way. Yeah, they love doing that. They go nuts. Or if they don't lose their minds, they try to accuse you of something. So you only don't like it because you didn't see it 10 years ago and all the rest of that. Even though you just gave all these different things you don't like. Hello? What time? All right. Bye. Nostalgia. Well, that's why I didn't even read the newest chapter, because it's literally chapter 59, the 5-month later edition. It's Goku fighting the same villain in that same little spot, except now they have new forms. It's it's just a retread. In fact, let me get rid of that trash that clown wrote. I tell you what they love doing is they'll come on a stream just to write stupid stuff and then vanish. Because the guy that was asking about my age and if I'm with some broad last week literally wrote those 2 questions, then vanished. He disappeared like Jimmy Hoffa. Please let me know what the status is of your penis. I need to know. It's always another man. Would it really hurt them if they change from the Goku formula? I guess they don't want to take a financial hit. Well, I had some guy that was trying to tell me that it was the Discord snake. He was like, "Oh, the 3 biggest selling characters are Goku, Vegeta, and Broly." I'm like, well, if that's true, then why the hell was Broly only canonized after being popular in North America? Because outside of Cell, he's more popular over here than he is in Japan, apparently. But secondly, I don't buy that if they let another character get some development and also beat the main villain, people will just stop buying Dragon Ball crap. Like, oh my God, they let Piccolo beat the main villain. I got to throw all my stuff away and burn the books. And like, who believes that? So I don't buy it. I just don't understand why they always have the urge to do that. Because they're pussies who play it safe and who don't want to run the risk of doing something a little bit different. That's all it is. Well, I was trying to explain to people that Hit is not really a character, just like how Kaba isn't a character, and that Universe 6 is a matching set. So if you see Hit again, you'll see him with all the different people from that universe. And I was trying to explain that with a lot of these clowns that like to be content with the older characters getting treated like trash, is that uh, if they treat the older ones like garbage, they're going to treat the newer ones that aren't Goku, Vegeta, Beerus, or Whis even worse. And you've seen that happen. What did Champa do in all of Super? What did Vados do? What did any of the Pride Troopers that aren't the big 3, so Jiren, Topo, and Dispo, what did they do? Well, a certain clown that decided to stab me in the back actually made a video talking about how Jiren's his favorite character and all this stupid stuff. So birds of a feather flock together. He's just a bland cardboard cutout of a character with a Batman origin, and that's about it. Just really lame. He was insanely powerful in Dragon Ball. Wow, that's never happened before. But that actually is a thing that people do. Like there was this one guy, he said Vegito is his favorite character. I asked him why, and he said, "Oh, because of the power." So this is the only fan base I've ever seen where I guess your level of strength dictates if you're a good character or not. I probably was one of the only people who didn't. Oh no, no, not at all. Megumi says I probably was one of the only people who didn't really like Broly when he first came out. I didn't like him either. I thought he was a very boring villain who just had a stupid backstory and an overpowered form. Like the newer version's much better, but the original one I really don't care about at all. Hell, if anything, I thought he was overexposed because out of all the villains from Z, he's the only one that got 3 movies. Well, technically 4 if you count the Broly film, the new one. Damn, he's the most recurring villain out of all the movie villains. No, I thought he was really lame. And the thing about the Broly film that people don't like to admit is that because it's set even later, because remember the original Broly is supposed to be like a Cell Saga era character, like when Super Saiyans are still a kind of a big thing. Because it's set even later, we're supposed to believe some random Saiyan who didn't do any training is like magically as strong as gods. When we knew that all the low class Saiyans, you know, and I know Broly's original thing was being 1,000 power level or whatever, but he still didn't train with anybody. And we're supposed to believe he's as strong as gods. But that's why I said that when you get rid of the veneer of like all this praise the Broly film gets, it has a lot of little story elements that don't mesh together. But because people like anything with the word Dragon Ball on it, they, oh my God, I love this movie. And I remember so many fans that based on their strength dictates how good they are of a character. Yeah. And it's actually kind of funny because there are a lot of fans who don't think that way. Like, if you might be surprised to believe this, but the character people wanted the most in the Tournament of Power from Universe 7 that wasn't in it was Yamcha. They did a poll, and Yamcha beat out Cell. He beat out Goten and Trunks. And like, there are a lot of fans who really couldn't care less about how strong a character is. Because at this point, it's Goku and Vegeta are the only 2 ones that get to stay strong, and everybody else just falls further and further. Like, it's almost like a self-parody. I think that people like that Broly kept BTFOing Vegeta. Almost all the Broly discussions in Japan is just Broly beating up Vegeta and his own dad. Yeah, well, like I said, I really couldn't care less about him. Original movie Broly was a Saiyan other than Goku, Vegeta, Trunks of the world, and he had power design. He was bound to be popular. I mean, Goten and Trunks turned into Gotenks, who is apparently stronger than, at the time he was introduced, stronger than all of the Saiyans other than Gohan. And I don't see him getting brought back over and over. They let him have like what, 1 scene, 2 scenes in all of Super, and that was it. So I don't know if I buy that. And besides, Saiyans are not a new thing or some shocking thing. We saw multiple Saiyans that were not those 4 characters or Broly before Broly was introduced. Let's see, Raditz, Nappa, Bardock, the 4 members of his crew. just King Vegeta. They could have brought back one of them. Yeah, Cooler was all right. I don't really have a problem with any of the movie villains. I mean, they are what they are. They're there to be imposing. I just don't get why Broly is any more cooler than the rest of them. If any of them that made sense to like, that I at least kind of got it a little bit were it was Janemba, because even though he was a really bland character, he had some cool powers. Yeah, there are a lot of fans who think they just kind of dropped the ball on Reddit. It's like you introduce the main character, the quote unquote main character's brother, and then he gets yanked after 10 chapters, never to be seen again in the whole manga. Broly is automatically more better than all the villains because he is extremely more powerful. Yeah, that's how they roll. Beerus was great because of his power. Then Whis was great because of his power. Then Hit was great because of his power. Then Goku Black was great because of his power. Then Merge Zamasu was great because of his power. Then Jiren was great. Like, it just goes on and on, and it's the same stupid pattern. And Moro apparently is stronger than all of them. Is he great because of his power? No, he's a crappy, stupid character. Toei hated Broly too, and the purpose of the third movie was to bury him, but they messed up by using a Broly clone instead. Yeah, I really like Bio Broly because that's the only film out of all of them that they actually use 18 in a half decent way. Uh, it was I just really like it. That's probably out of all the Broly films, it's probably my favorite one. The one Broly movie that doesn't technically have him in there is my favorite. Yeah, usually if they try to do something different, like use some other characters once in a while, I'll probably like it. What did you think of Babidi? Him and Deborah have the same thing where they both have at least something that sets them apart from other villains a little bit, and then Toriyama just like buries them after a while. How does Broly dad hold up? I forgot. Oh, Paragus. Yeah, they made him older for some reason. They made him look like somebody's grandpa. Because he looked like a really young guy, and it made sense because they're supposed to be in their Saiyan's supposed to be in their prime for a longer time, and they just made him look like he was the most decrepit dinosaur you could ever see. Like, they took his original design, they made that his flashback design. They're like, no, we want him to be old and wear a robe. Yeah, I really would have liked to have seen Jerome meet Cell. I don't know why that wasn't done. But anyways, I'm about to get out of here because my brother's supposed to be coming over. So um, I'll do a stream on Monday. I'll try to put up some video tomorrow, whether it's Dragon Ball related or not. But I'll certainly be doing the Dragon Ball video this week. I got so swamped up with all the different news that came up last night after Ruben's favorite lady in the world passed away. So thanks for watching. I apologize for that one kind of weird inquiry. I know some people are obsessed with me and what I have on and all my angles and whatnot, but it's not necessary. So have a good day.